Ben Cline was a pretty vociferous Matt Gaetz supporter. He's gone radio silent. Chris Graham here, Augusta Free Press. Now, understandably, we're not hearing a lot, which is to say anything from the former defenders of Matt Gaetz, who was Donald Trump's pick to be the Attorney General, if you may remember that. Trump wanted a guy who the House Ethics Committee said this week sex trafficked a 17-year-old high school junior, regularly paid her and other women to have sex with him, used congressional resources to fuel his drug habit, and only avoided prosecution by the Justice Department because the feds didn't want to look like they were being political in going after him. He wanted that guy to be his AG. Okay. Trump hasn't had anything to say about the damning report released this week on his guy, Matt Gaetz, who he had said back when he nominated him for the AG post that Gaetz was going to, quote, root out the systematic corruption at DOJ and return the department to a true mission of fighting crime and upholding our democracy and constitution. Lofty words there from the Trumper. Now, if you're wondering if Trump would have known anything about the person that Matt Gaetz really is, remember, Matt Gaetz asked Donald Trump for a pardon in the waning days of the first Trump administration back in January 2021. So yeah, he knew. You know who else knew the truth about Matt Gaetz? Here's a quote from our guy Ben Cline here in the 6th District, Republican just reelected. This is Cline about Gaetz. He is a warrior against the weaponization of the Justice Department and the lawfare that's been waged by the Biden administration. He knows exactly what has to happen to the Justice Department to fix it. That was Cline, just reelected to a fourth term, representing the 6th District, despite there being a much better choice in the form of Ken Mitchell, a retired military guy who has actually held meaningful jobs outside of government, unlike Ben Cline. Our Ben Cline fellow was big on Gaetz. Our colleague now, Gene Zidfer, I got to credit Gene for noting that Gaetz had donated $2,000 to Kline's 2020 reelection campaign, almost certainly just to curry favor with Cline because Cline didn't need the money. This is about the 6th District of Virginia is about as safe a district for either side as there is in this country. Um, that $2,000, you have to think, bought the lofty quote from Cline when Gaetz was nominated to the AG post and silence when the House Ethics Committee threw the hammer down. Now, Zidfer had a pointed question for Klein in a column on Monday about the Gaetz news. Congressman Klein, Zidfer said, please don't try to tell us you had no inkling of Gaetz' disgusting and illegal behavior when you accepted his gift and praised his nomination. We won't believe you. Do you have the decency to be embarrassed? Now, we will not be holding our breath waiting for an answer on that one. And this would probably be a good time to remind you that 82% of the 30 million white evangelicals who voted in the 2024 elections, excuse me, voted for Donald Trump despite his own issues with sex crimes. So it's not just Matt Gaetz here. The big one with Trump was two juries siding with a woman, E. Jean Carroll, you may have heard her name, in defamation cases in 2023 and 2024, in which the central point was Trump's claims that Carroll was making up a story about Trump sexually assaulting her in 1996. The judge in the first case, a guy named Louis A. Kaplan, dismissed a post-trial claim from Trump's legal team that Carroll had defamed Trump by saying Trump had, quote, raped her, ruling that her words were substantially true. The juries awarded $88.3 million to Carroll in the cases. So, the person we can easily call an adjudicated rapist, despite what ABC News did in basically giving Trump a $15 million donation here recently, he got the white evangelical votes, and their votes enabled the adjudicated rapist to nominate a suspected child sex trafficker to be in charge of the Department of Justice. And this is the side that wants you to believe that they're big on family stuff, they're big on law and order, the rule of law. Question for white evangelicals: do you have the decency to be embarrassed? It's okay. We already know the answer. For Augusta Free Press, I'm Chris Graham.